Let's do the Marvel Snap Series 5 tier list. I haven't done a tier list for Snap and I don't even know how long. The only thing I really started to figure out was I kind of agree with some of the other versions of tier lists I've seen in Marvel Snap where you can't call something just A tier or S tier. It really does have to be specific. It has to specifically say, is it something that is like a must-have? Is it very niche? Is it flexible? Like, because that can really help dictate your need to really get the card or not. I don't want to put a Kang tier because, well, we'll talk about Kang. I decided to go more down the Dr. Evil route of, how about no? That's a lot of Series 5 cards. Also, if I'm going to turn this into a video, I really don't want this to be 75 hours long for these tier lists because nothing says, here, don't watch this like a video that's 95 hours long. So I'm just going to fly through a couple of fast ones that feel good and then kind of start making assessments from there, plain and simple. I guess we could start with something like Joaquin Torres. That's, you know, Kahori kind of fits that bill. I'm really on the on that end. Just throw like ones that initially come out as like, I need to throw opinions out here first. I mean, the first ones that jump out at me, Speed is just like an incredibly good card. It's just an incredibly good card, plain and simple. I think it's really good. Can go into so many different decks and it's just straight power. And then if you have any other ways to amplify it with things like Moonstone and shit, like that's great. Infinity Ultron, I still think it's a good card. I think it's slept on a little bit. So I'm back and forth between here and here because you build the deck around Infinity Ultron, but you also don't have to build a deck around Infinity Ultron to make an Infinity Ultron style deck work. I mean, Red Guardian, let's just throw him up there. Even at 3/2, he's just insanely strong. He's one you kind of need to always have available to you. Same thing for Kate Bishop. I think she's just, I don't know if she's a must-have or plug-and-play flex tech, but like she's just a card that goes into so many different decks so smoothly. Just like starting it off. Yeah, and I do have Human Torch in here. You know, the Human Torch released this week. I do think he's very strong. I don't think he's actually necessarily like a must-have or plug-and-play because you need to build around him. You absolutely need to build around him. Unlike, I'd say, I put Anti-Venom in the same category because if you're going to play Anti-Venom, you have to play Luke Cage. I am not you have to play it. Therefore, in my opinion, I'll call that niche because it's more of a package card than anything else. Agamotto is niche but strong too because you build Agamotto decks, and I'm not talking about the Arishem ones. Like I just want to put Arishem down here just, you know, for the rage bait. I think legitimately Agamotto decks in general are better than Arishem decks in general. That's just my take on that. I think that it's a much more sophisticated play style, and I think it's much more consistent. I don't want to put Arishem in a lower tier because his decks still perform because you have to be versed in Marvel Snap. But for a newer player, you don't have to have him. Galacta's plug and play. That's pretty simple. Bullseye, niche and strong for the discard decks. That's pretty simple. Other tech cards that jump out, I'm going to say Gwenpool probably fits that category. Hope Summers fits that category. I'm going to say Hydra Bob even, because Bob can just go into anything. He's a 1/4 with a move ability on top of it, and now he's benefiting from the end of turn stuff. Like, absolutely fantastic. Tech ones that jump out, I think Sam Wilson's still a must-have. Probably put Galacta up here too. This might be here. I'll come back to these ones here because plug-and-play flex tech really versus a must-have for me talks about deck diversity and talks about how impactful it is within the deck itself. I think Galacta makes more of a splash than Gwenpool. Yeah, still not by much, but by enough. Surge, I mean, that's just a must-have. That's a no-brainer. Thanos is interesting here. I think High Evo with the release of Fantastic Car might end up being, because it's a deck staple, it might have to be up here as like, if you're gonna open an entire archetype with one card, Thanos and High Evolutionary do that. Essen is niche. Dormammu is niche and strong, but I don't think it's necessary for a destroy deck. Okay, we're actually pushing through this a lot faster. Nico. Oh, Jesus. Can I just put Nico in like probably one of the top cards you should ever have? Which then makes an interesting conversation for Herbie because I think Nico's better than Herbie, but Herbie is also very good. I'm going to put him probably a little lower. Wiccan, that's another one. I'm probably going to say niche and strong actually for Wiccan because you have to build for him. You have to have a deck that works for Wiccan. You have to play Quicksilver. You have to build a package more towards the lower cards. It's not just to throw it into any deck or build a deck around it. Red Hulk might be up gap there. Essen isn't more powerful than Arishem. That's fair. Arishem enables Essen, not really the other way around. See, okay, so Luna Snow's another one that I still think we're underplaying Luna Snow. I really do. I think that Luna Snow doesn't get enough respect. Copycat's probably gonna go into here. Nocturne, where she's gotta be in here, right? I'm probably gonna go a little lower on Nocturne, probably flexible but replaceable. What cards do you need to play Luna properly? Not much. I mean, you can put Luna into most decks pretty safely, but the problem is it just also ramps your opponent. Let me rewind it a second here, I might have to add more categories to help explain this better. Like, I might need one more category here for like must-have deck staple versus like archetype definer, because that, I feel like that's how you do that. Because then I feel better about doing Agamotto here. Feel much better about that by adding just one more. You do build around Dormammu. You do. Maybe with Infinity Ultron? Same way? Because you kind of build into him too. Yeah, okay, we'll leave those for now. We'll come back to them. Blink is another one that I think is incredibly good and probably underplayed. Cassandra Nova, insanely good tech right now, just because you have to have Cassandra Nova specifically whenever there's like an Arishem or a Thanos meta all of a sudden thriving. Even if Agamotto gets really popular too, you can throw that in there too, because amount of cards in hand, more cards in the deck. You build around Victoria Hand. Yeah, I think Victoria Hand's a good call for the build arounds for an archetype defining card. Alioth, plug and play flex tech, definitely. I think Ajax is a good archetype defining card also. You can put Dr. Doom in there, but I think he's replaceable. Cassandra doesn't steal from skill cards, but if you're drawing skills, that means there's more cards in the deck. I'm gonna put Morgan Le Fay in flexible but replaceable. It's a card I really want to be good, but I just never feel like it curves right to make it good at 4 cost. It's really difficult to make this card good, but it's so fun when you get it to go, to do the thing. I'm also gonna put Nightmare in here because you don't need to have Nightmare in a Sauron style deck. You can easily replace it. Khonshu, I'm gonna put niche and strong because there's so many different variations of discard. And I'm actually going to drop Dormammu for the same reasons, right? Discard decks have different styles, just like, in my opinion, Dormammu Destroy versus Classic Destroy, we'll traditionalize it as with Null and Death and even Arnim Zola. I think it's just a spin-off of that archetype already. I don't think it defines the archetype. It's a variation of that archetype. I mean, Galactus is more of an archetype definer in my opinion, because you can't play a Galactus deck without Galactus. You can play a Destroy deck without Dormammu, or a discard deck without Khonshu. Niche but replaceable cards like Aranya, Black Swan, move archetype, 1s and 6s, 1s. Cersei, I could say, is also replaceable in the same breath because you don't have to have Cersei to flip the cards. You could just yeet them. Hydra Stomper, I think, is also very good. I'm going to put him in that same category because he can scale insanely high. Strange Supreme, same boat, definitely. Fenris Wolf is tough, man. Because if you're thinking Fenris Wolf, you're also then trying to contemplate if you're using Fenris Wolf with other cards like, Firehair, Misery, Destroy, Shang-Chi, Gladiator, blah, 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 you get the idea. That's a tough one. I wouldn't call it tech. Like, you can't throw Fenris into every deck, but it is very, very strong at what it does. And I think you could do that with Fenris, Firehair, Misery. That whole combo is niche but strong. I'd say Ares isn't a must-have for those big Sauron style decks, but it's nice. Diamondback is niche and strong in the Affliction decks. Very, very good. Goliath in the ongoing decks, niche and strong. Very good. Gore. See, Gore's a tough one. Is Gore less flexible than Goliath? I'll put them next to each other and I'll look at it again in a second. It's tough. Frigga, that's another one that I think is also very good, but you don't have to have the duplication come that way. There are other mechanics in which you can use, like Grandmaster. Mockingbird, it has to be in cards with tokens. Merlin, I think that's a plug and play flex tech or a must have. I'm back and forth here on that one. I'm just trying to, if I get the initial plotting, it makes it a lot easier to try to figure out. Esme, niche but replaceable because she really only has one home, negative. And if you don't have her, it's not like you can't play the deck. Thena, same thing. You build a deck around Thena, but it's not a Thena deck. So I think it's strong. Bouncing cards is niche. Rocket with the stealing of power and stuff. I do think it's a strong card still. I think it's underplayed. Losing that 1 power off of it really did hurt it, but I do think it's an incredibly strong card that you end up needing to play around. The problem is there's just so many good 2 and 3 drops that it gets pushed by the wayside very quickly when it loses another power. Because of that, you end up replacing it. I'm gonna put it right at the top here though. Scorn, strong in the discard decks. Proxima is replaceable in discard decks very often. Same thing with Madam Web in move decks, very often replaceable. Red Wing is tough because like it's not an archetype defining card. Like you don't build a Red Wing deck, it's a dump deck, but you don't have to have, yeah, okay, we're gonna put it in flexible, but sorry, niche, but replaceable because you're playing a dump deck when you're playing Red Wing, but you don't have to play it as a Red Wing deck. US Agent's definitely strong. Probably plug and play flex. I don't think Scorn is archetype defining. No, discard is discard. It's better with it. Iron Patriot, I mean, that's gonna be up here. It might go to must-have deck staple, but we'll see. Archetype definer, Surtur, definitely. Niche but strong, Starbrand, same thing. It has to be in a deck that supports either handling its downside or removing its downside. Sage, probably plug and play. Okay, I feel better now that we've like gotten a large chunk of this out there. Niche and strong, Moonstone, niche and strong. Penny, flexible but replaceable. Scream is an archetype defining card, definitely. Thaddeus, you always replace. Captain Carter, I think, is also in this category of niche but replaceable because you don't have to have it in a surfer deck, but it's definitely a surfer card. War Machine could be archetype defining. I'll leave it at the bottom here. Thaddeus in the bottom, yeah, let's be honest, yeah, hate to say it. Baron Zemo, very strong in the deck that it's in a mill deck. Does Baron Zemo define mill all by itself? That's a tough one. It's good. Firehair for mill more so, maybe. Gilgamesh, I mean, again, another one that it needs buffs, so you're looking often at Zoo, but when you drop that 5-drop and it's a 5/20, I'm actually gonna leave it though towards replaceable because you don't run it in every Zoo deck. Same thing for Makari. You're trying to thin your hand, just let it do its thing. I think Namora honestly deserves to be down here too. I think Namora is just a card that needs something else. More stats, more abilities. I don't know what it is, but she needs something, like anything really. I don't know what would do it. Would it be reducing its cost? Would it be increasing her power? Would it be increasing the power she gives to others? The stipulation, I don't know, but it just always feels clunky to wait that long to add that much power. I think I would rather play Penny over her, definitely. I'd rather play Morgan Le Fay over her, definitely. Clea, I think is replaceable. Scarlet Spider is another one that like you're constantly just replacing out. Zorn, I think, is slept on as a card from a defensive standpoint, so I'm gonna put it in replaceable. Ancient One, another one that's like you almost never play this card. I think you play White Widow more than you play Ancient One. I'm gonna put it down here. Even with the 2 cost, I thought it was gonna be a really good card. I even called it that it was the secret best buff of that OTA. I was wrong. When you get it to do its thing, it's great. Maybe it just needs to be a 2 cost. I don't know. A 2 cost with a 2 cost. Agent Venom, another card that really helps that deck, but only really one deck. Bruce, niche and replaceable, definitely. Marvel Boy, niche and strong. I don't think it's the archetype definer, but it's close. Emperor Hulkling, no. Symbiote Spider-Man, good argument for him to be good or be better. Silver Sable, it's a maybe. It's a maybe card. Dr. Doom 2099 as a 4th. I mean, this card has gone through so many changes, it's insane. But even still, I think it's just niche. You have to play it in a very specific deck, and very often you're not wanting to build or play that deck. And then there's Jeff, who I just feel bad about. I feel bad for Jeff. Like he went from, and it's exclusively because of other cards, not because Jeff got nerfed or Jeff was tweaked or no, Jeff has been the exact same. And he's just fallen into oblivion, complete oblivion. I think that we end up putting Jeff in flexible but replaceable, and that's really sad. And then there's Kang, where there's too much copium around Kang. I mean, can we be honest here? It doesn't deserve its own tier. It really doesn't. It is definitely low. Now, in regards to like true, order, worst card in here, if I look at these bottom 2 rankings here, the best of the worst and the worst of the best, right? Nocturne's probably up there. I'm gonna say Kahori is up there, Prodigy is up there, Joaquin Torres is up there, Nightmare, Penny. Kid Omega releases later today. It's gonna be a niche and strong card, definitely. Yeah, Kid Omega is going to be niche and strong, 100%. And then down here, what is the worst of the worst? I mean, that alone could change what Elixir kind of feels like, but I still feel like he's really bad. In the niche but replaceable category, like if you're looking at this pool, what's the best card? Feels weird to say that, right? Probably Frigga, Rocket, Toxin, even. It's probably up there. Silver Sable is up there. A free 4/7 always feels good. What's the worst of these? Probably Ancient One right now. Like what Zorn's got to be up there. It's constantly respected in a disrespect. I think that Gilgamesh is better than people give it credit for, but again, it always comes out. Well, it's not a matter of Bruce being better fully than Nomura. I think that Bruce has one home and it's replaceable, but I'd rather play that deck over a Nomura deck. I think Doom 29/9's like it needs more love, but you know, I feel pretty good. Madam Web I actually really enjoy. I feel pretty good with this for niche but replaceable. Niche but strong. Niche and strong, excuse me. The best, like what's each category, what's the best card in it? I honestly think there's a case for Diamondback and Bullseye. I think for their archetypes, they're just so damn good. You know, Fenris and Firehair very much are in that same category. I think Thaddeus should be flexible but replaceable. He doesn't go into every deck. He has to be in decks with 10 or mores. I don't think he's as flexible as we want him to be. Misery's kind of a needed card. Out of the groups, Hydra Stomper is a lower one. Starbrand's probably a lower one. Generally speaking, Blink's gonna want to be lower. When it does its thing, it does it really well. That's not bad. Human Torch, probably drop this down for its value to like here. Yeah, he has a couple, believe me, Thaddeus has a couple of homes, but any card can work in Marvel Snap, except Mantis. Archetype Definers. Sorry, Taro. See, but Wiccan? Am I counting Wiccan as an archetype definer? Because you build a Wiccan deck. It doesn't feel right. It feels more like, is it niche and strong or is it plug and play flex tech? It's probably niche and strong and like way up there. Yeah, I feel better with that. Looking at the cards that are here, yeah, Agamotto, Affliction, Victoria Hand. I think this, I mean, right now, this week, this should be up here. It's hard to justify that regularly being higher than Thanos, but I'm pretty okay with this as is. I'm pretty okay with what I see here. And then in regards to must-have deck staples up here and plug and play flex. This is the tough part here. Like, I've always been a huge Hope Summers fan. I always have been. I think Copycat's up here. I think Cassandra Nova's up here. Iron Patriot is up here because these can go into any deck, right? You could build literally any archetype and want to throw those cards in there and feel good about it. But I feel like, yeah, I see what you're talking about with Arisham in the chat. I think I'm just going to do this. It's its own archetype. I can't not have it here. You know, it makes more sense. I think it's the worst of the bunch. I don't think US Agent gets enough love, but it's still very good. I think Sage is also very good. Luna should probably go down a little bit. All the 6 drops are pretty like play what you want. I don't think Gilgamesh defines Zoo. I think it makes Zoo better, but I don't think Gilgamesh defines Zoo at all. I think with Gilgamesh, based on what you're saying there, like you're constantly wanting to play him into Zoo decks, but you often just don't, very often. Yeah, I call as granted, we're only what, 24 hours into having Mr. Fantastic First Steps. I have him in niche and strong because right now he's a surfer card. And then over time, I think he kind of just gets stronger, like moves up within his own category. In regards to what is the best card in Marvel Snap and a must-have, did I not put Mr. Fantastic in this? Did I miss him? Oh, poop. He would be a must-have deck staple, in my opinion. I do think so. Yeah, I mean, he's technically the season pass, but people will watch us afterwards, so Mr. Fantastic First Steps, I mean, he's up here. He's one of those get him as soon as you can in tokens at the time of recording this. Honestly, I feel really good about this list. How does that look? I honestly feel really good about that list. If there's anything that really jumps out to me about this list with the Series 5 cards, it's that there are so many cards that are flexible, right? There's cards that you can use in so many different decks. There are so many different types of decks to build. that depending on what you draw as you're farming your collection, you're never not going to have a flexible deck. There's always something you can build, but then you can hone it and make it better. I'm gonna move Herbie down a little bit here. I'm looking at Herbie going, I'm playing Goliath before Herbie. Yeah, I really like this. I really, really like this. I don't know, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? Either way, this is just my opinion of where, like, if you're going to use tokens to get cards, this is a pretty good direction of where to start with that. This right here. We cool with that list? So there it is. Ta-da.